Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Andor. I finally finished it. The reason why it took me so long to finish this, even though I think it just ended maybe a week or two ago, I just haven't had time. I just haven't time to watch anything. My last video I put out was like, I think 20 or 21 days ago. This has been the longest stretch of time that I haven't put anything out since I first started YouTube. So I'm starting to finish up a couple of things. I'm going to get a Rings of Power, I think, review out either today or tomorrow. That was my number one most anticipated show of the year, the Lord of the Rings show. And I got a lot to say about that. But I also have a lot to say about this, Andor. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, it's probably my number one fandom that I follow and I keep up with. And Andor was a show that I don't want to say I was really looking forward to. Even when the trailer came out, it was always something that I knew I was going to watch. I kind of want to go in blind because I knew what time period we're going to be set in. I didn't need to know too much because we already introduced the character. I just kind of wanted to go in blind and see what the show gave me. So I'm just going to go right into this. If you guys enjoy this review, please make sure to like it. Please subscribe if you are new. I'm going to talk spoilers at some point. Once I start going into some of the episodes, I'm going to talk briefly maybe about all of them. And because I think the show is kind of like a wave for me. There was some things I really liked. There were some things I didn't like at all. So I just want to talk about it all. So first thing I want to say is the one thing that I feel like everyone says at first. The show is really well made, right? On a technical level, the acting, cinematography, the score I think was so good. And my favorite thing about the show is that the world building I think was really great. One problem I kind of had with Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett was that it felt very condensed. That might be because it's set in Tatooine. And Kenobi needed to stay there for, as we know, he did leave that planet. But he needed to stay in Tatooine. Tatooine's a very boring planet, right? A lot of sand. So I was happy to see that Andor, he wasn't really constrained to one planet. He could go anywhere. So I love seeing Coruscant, which is the heart of Star Wars, or at least in Star Wars, that's the heart of all the galaxies. And so it's sort of I just love seeing that world building, how good it felt to explore all these different places and get to see just the production design be a little bit better, the CGI being a little bit better, because we don't need to just see sand, right? We can see other places. So I really enjoyed that. I also liked how, even though this is the Andor show, it wasn't just focused on him. We got a lot of different characters here, from Mon Mothma to Bill Skarsgård's character, seeing all the different rebels, seeing the Empire, seeing the prisoners. There's a lot of different characters in this that we could talk about and discuss and dissect. A lot of them are really complex. And they're complex because we get a lot of time with these characters, right? We get a lot of downtime with these characters, which I think is where the bulk of where people might lose this show or like this show, all that downtime, right? They could see it as character development, great pacing to lead up to something that's going to feel more worth it because we spend so much downtime with these characters. It's going to make their deaths or bigger moments feel better because we've had those quiet moments. Or some people may be on the other side and they'll say that these moments are boring and we're spending too much time doing nothing. It's dragging, the pacing is bad. So this is where I love talking about film and TV shows because it's all subjective, right? Maybe you could say some things are objective, like I said, how well made the show is. But a lot of opinions, especially with pacing, is subjective. Some people like the slow stuff, some people don't. For me personally, I thought the pacing was good. I think it did drag at times. I think we did spend a lot of episodes, I don't want to say doing nothing. It wasn't doing nothing, but we did spend a lot of time maybe not progressing as fast as I'd want it to go. That could just be my own thing, that maybe I'm running out of patience. Maybe my attention span isn't as good as it used to be as I'm scrolling through all these other social media apps. But I think I'm so used to watching a lot of movies that are slow that it didn't bother me. When I was watching it and it dragged, I didn't knock it down a rating because it was slow, but I also didn't bump it up. I didn't like the episode more because of those quiet moments, Now that's a very broad range of moments I'm talking about. There were a lot of slow moments that I thought were great, and they did go into character development, and they did push the narrative forward or push the story forward. But then there were also times where I felt do we really need to see this again? Or I'm not as invested or intrigued in this storyline. Can we go to a different one? Or so I'll talk about all that. So let's just talk about most of the stuff that I did like. With Mon Mothma, she was a big character, right, in this show. I think I really enjoyed seeing her story and sort of the beginning of her political side of the rebellion, right? She's a senator. She will become pretty much at the face of the rebellion by the time we get to A New Hope. So to see her starting to really trying to figure out like how we're actually going to do this, we need money. Towards the end, she's sort of like selling her daughter to like a bad guy with a lot of money so that she could, get his money to fund the rebellion. And this is one of the themes I thought of this show that they'd really try to highlight, was that the rebellion wasn't this hero thing. It wasn't like this clean cut good versus evil type of thing. It was a very gray side, which I feel like is all rebellions or all protests or whatever. There's a gray side. It isn't just like this fight the evil, fight the power type of thing, right? And that's something that's a theme that's pushed in our face right at the beginning of episode 1 when we see Andor kill those guys in cold blood. Now, I think he did that in the beginning of Rogue One as well. But it really sets the tone for this show. Like, Andor isn't someone that we have to really root for, like a Luke Skywalker, even though he's killed a bunch of people as well. But he's more of a hero, right? I don't think Andor should be labeled as like a true hero. Like, he's gonna do stuff that is bad. He's gonna do murder. He might steal. Like, he's gonna do some anti-hero things. Even though he is a good guy, we're fighting a power. They say this in the show. We're fighting a power that's much bigger than ours. We need to do stuff that isn't so good. So I love that theme for the show. I loved how they highlighted that about the rebellion. But moving on, I don't want to make this review too long. Bill Skarsgård's character, I think his name was Luthen, again, part of the rebellion, sort of faking his way to, I guess, get money. Like, some of his stuff was confusing, especially towards the end where he's talking with that spy with the Empire, or talking to Saw Gerrera. Like, it took me some time to really sort of like figure out who this person was, or what he was really trying to accomplish, or what his goals were. But he was really cool. I thought everything with him was awesome as well. When he saw Saw Gerrera, cool cameo. Kind of expected him to be in this, right? Since it just lines up with the show and Rogue One and everything. So I thought he was good. Not my favorite character, but he didn't need to be. I would say my favorite storylines in this show, because I realized that this show isn't maybe like what we're used to. Like, usually when these shows happen, or these Star Wars or Marvel shows, it's sort of like within the first couple episodes we can sort of tell like where it's going to end. Like with The Mandalorian, we knew that he was going to fight Moff Gideon at some point, or Moff Gideon wanted Grogu, so it was like we're going to see like the culmination of that by the end. With Marvel, there's a lot of Marvel shows, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, you can tell like where, like what's going to happen at the end, like some sort of climax is going to happen, right? For Andor, it really felt like we were just following this character, and as he travels through whatever journey he's going on to get to where he's going to be by Rogue One. Andor was greenlit for season 2, so there's going to be more time to see where that character actually goes. But at the end, we saw that he's going to join the rebellion, right? That Luthen brings him in. So there's multiple storylines in the show, right? So I think my favorite one was when, after the first 3 episodes, he goes with the rebels and they plan like that heist, right? I thought the first 2 episodes were like okay. I was bored, not gonna lie. I just felt like it was being introduced to the characters, right? Shows need to introduce us to characters, kind of like set the world that we're going into and the storyline and what it's going to feel like and the atmosphere. So the first 2 episodes, I was like, all right, this is good, this is fine. I'm not really that excited. By episode 3, I think that's when I really got hooked, because that's when he met Luthen and they had like that exchange, and the Empire was coming after him. Cyril, I think his name was. He was coming after him and he escaped, and then they go with the rebels and they have like this whole plan, right? And they're gonna like work together. So then I was like, okay, this is what the show's gonna be about. So I think that big heist where they're stealing the money from the Empire, I think that was great. I think it was episode 6 where it had like that special fireworks show and they're flying through it. And then someone betrays him at the end, saying let's just leave and we'll take the cut 50-50. And he just shoots him dead. I think that whole episode was my favorite out of the whole show. It was just really cool, and it felt like the episode before that was really slow because they were just planning that heist. The whole episode was really just talking, like the rebels talking, Andor talking to all these new rebels, and practicing for the heist. And so I thought that one was slow, but it made that next episode better because we spent all that time, right? We spent all that downtime with them. It makes those bigger moments feel better. So that was my favorite episode, episode 6. After this episode, we see Andor leave. He has like the money in the ship and he leaves, and he gets picked up by the Empire and gets put into prison, right? I feel like these next 2 episodes, like when he's first in the prison, I thought the idea was cool. I love seeing like the prison system of the Empire and like what they were doing, and knowing that they were building the Death Star. I was like, these concepts are really cool. Again, a lot of downtime where it was like really just them building. We start to get inklings of like what's happening on level 2. The guys in the sign language or someone else. We get to know the different characters in the prison. I thought Andy Serkis was great. He did really great acting in this show. But again, I was sort of like, let's keep going. I want to just keep the ball rolling. But again, like it slowed down those first episodes after. And then the third episode of the prison is when they escape, right? And people said this was their favorite episode. I don't blame you. This is my second favorite. This was great. I think it was just really cool seeing them, just seeing the whole plan and how it came together. It was really cool. And then having Andy Serkis like not being able to swim at the end was great. So after this, again, I feel like that's what I'm saying. The show was like a wave for me. I feel like it was slow, picked up, went down a little bit, prison. And then the finale, not the last 2 episodes, it was right. We had Marv dying, right? Skarsgård almost gets picked up by the Empire, and he has like that cool fight in the air where he has like those lasers and he's twirling them around in the ship, and he fights and stuff. I thought that was cool. We get some more Mon Mothma stuff, a lot of Mon Mothma, and I like to see like how she made like those dealings with the guy, and the guy wants like his son to marry his daughter. No, what was it? His son to marry her daughter, and by the end she goes through with it. Again, not clean cut, right? She's gonna have to do some stuff that's not good for the betterment of the rebellion. And then the finale was again good, but the whole thing was centered around the funeral. I get the idea, like this is the beginning of the rebellion, as Marv's death, although sad, also is like the spark. She like sort of like gives like a nice speech that gets everyone riled up, and they fight the Empire. The whole Empire is like looking for Andor because they know he's gonna come to his mom's funeral. Again, just like it felt like it was going around the same thing, which was the funeral for like the whole entire episode, and I just felt like it was good. Like it was good, it was fine, but it's not like this amazing thing. Or I guess from Star Wars I expect more of like this climactic, crazy finish. Like Book of Boba Fett had that. Kenobi had did it have a climactic finish? Yeah. Mandalorian obviously did. So it's just like, for Andor in general, I think this might be like the most well-made Disney Plus show. I'm talking about everything, even from whatever they put out. This might be like the best Disney Plus show in general in terms of like how well-made it is, the score on technical level, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Is it my favorite Disney Plus show or Star Wars show? No, I still like The Mandalorian better. I think it was better than Kenobi. Kenobi, again, characters that I cared more about. I think the moments were bigger in Kenobi. But I also really enjoyed Andor for what it was. Andor didn't need to be Kenobi for me. Kenobi had very high expectations. I don't think Kenobi met my high expectations at all. But I still think it was great. I still had a lot of fun with it. For Andor, it never really needed to be anything but like this glimpse into this character that we already know and like what he did during this time. Like I went into it thinking like that. I wasn't expecting to see Palpatine. I wasn't expecting it to be like this grandiose thing that's gonna be like the best Star Wars thing, or I don't know. I didn't need Andor to be anything but good, and I think it was better than I thought it was gonna be. I think it was great. Just the fact that it was so well made surprised me. I didn't expect it to be like that cool. And seeing Andor and the character and following him, Andor isn't a character that I walk away from the show and I like him more. I think I know him more. I think I kind of like respect him more, and I enjoy the character, and seeing him again is going to be cool. But I'm not stepping away from the show saying like, oh, Cassian Andor is like my favorite character. But again, he didn't need to be. I always saw the show as just like, let's see a glimpse into this time period more. Let's get more of a sense of the Empire or the Rebellion or how it started, and stuff with Mon Mothma I wasn't really expecting. So I think it did what it had to do, and it did more. So overall, my rating for this show, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Solid 4 out of 5. I'm probably smack in the middle of like a lot of people think. I would give this like an 8 and a 10. Some people thought this was boring, waste their time, maybe some good moments that sort of like led to nothing. And I see that side. I really do. Like if anyone said that to me in person or comments or whatever, and they said, hey, the show kind of sucked because they thought it was boring, I'd say, all right, like it's understandable. Like it was slow. Star Wars is sort of known for being like this. The originals were kind of like cheesy. Even the prequels were like cheesy, like in your face, a lot of lightsabers, a lot of Kenobi was very sort of like flashy, right, and high stakes feel. Even though Andor I think had a lot of high stakes as well. But Boba Fett, like pew pew, a lot of action. There was a lot of action in this show too. Obviously, it was almost double the episodes of Kenobi. It was more than Book of Boba Fett. So we had a lot more time. Didn't need to be action, but I think overall, like I really did enjoy it. So now, and then the other side, some people are loving the show, adoring it, and I can see why, because it's really technically well made. And I think, like I said, if you don't have a problem with that downtime stuff, with the boring stuff, then it should be a great show. I think it flowed really well. I think the story progressed perfectly. I think there was character development for Andor from the beginning to end. I think it was interesting. I think there was a lot of parallels to our real world with like the prison system. Very thought-provoking stuff. The protest by the end drew a lot of parallels to like maybe our current government, which it was always the point of Star Wars, right? That was ever since George Lucas made it. It was always like she wanted to draw parallels from the real world to this fantasy world, right? So I don't want to make this review too long. So my final thoughts on Andor is that I thought it was great. I think any Star Wars fan that's holding out on watching it because maybe they heard bad stuff or they think this is Andor, like who cares? Like I do think it's worth watching, and I think this is only the first season, and this was a good foundation, a good first season. A lot of shows, the first season isn't always the best. I'm sure if this gets greenlit for season 2, or even if we go to 3 and 4, if you have the same creators from this first season, I think I would trust for it to just get better and better and better as we go along. I don't think we really have room for that many, because since Rogue One isn't too far out, I think from where we are now at season 1. But even if we get 2 or 3 more, like those should be better than this season. I think there is room for it to be better. This first season was great though, and I think we really built a good foundation for these characters and where they are at. So let me know what you guys thought of Andor down below in the comments. That's my quick review. I'm gonna finish up Rings of Power right now. It is a little late, and I'll probably put a video out tomorrow or something like that. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. I'm gonna try and get more videos out, but just no promises right now. And make sure to like it, make sure to subscribe if you're new. I'll see you on the next video. Have a great rest of the day.